morning. Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Rob. I'm here with Donald. The New York Yankees have not scored a run for 29 innings. It is not a good morning for the New York Yankees at all, as we have watched a completely flat offense over the course of the last 3 games. It's been rough, but what hasn't been rough is our chat, so I want to say a quick hello to everybody that's popped in here already. We had Jonathan coming in at 8 o'clock this morning, early bird award. He was at the game. Didn't help, he said. Apparently not. It's a shame you had to watch that garbage last night, Jonathan. John the Beagle Dad, what's going on? Stevie B, what's up to Alex from Big Blue in the Bronx? Make sure you sub up to him. Donald, let's just cut to the chase. Let's just get right into it. How ugly is it right now? Like, scale of 1 to 10. Are we at DEFCON 12? Like, how bad is it right now for this Yankee offense?
um, I expected this team to regress, this offense to regress, because it started off all world, and there's a lot of flaws in that lineup. They have one elite hitter, Aaron Judge, and if he's not hitting like Babe Ruth, then this team is kind of mediocre. You know, they've got one elite hitter, and then they've got Goldschmidt, who's still very good. After that, I think it's just those two guys are batting over 800 OPS. Um, there's not a lot after that. Thus, I'm not surprised that they are regressing a little bit. So when Aaron Boone, after each postgame, is like, "We're great. This is who we are. We are these assassins in the box," and all this stuff. I'm like, are we though? I know that we lead in a lot of. Well, we've started off red hot in a lot of categories, and by no means are we a bad offense. But this is more than just a slump. This is definitely more than just a slump. Um, it's it's kind of closer to who they are than they were at the start of the year when they were hitting 25 runs every single game. Not dismissing that, but there are flaws to this lineup. They don't have much power coming from the right side. It's basically Judge, and thank God Stanton's back, but there just isn't enough. If you look at the statistics, you know you're seeing that Volpe's trending down again. Dominguez is a rookie. I don't know what more you could expect from the guy. I mean, if you have expectations he's going to be Mickey Mantle at this stage of the year, then I don't really know what to tell you, because he's in a platoon situation with Trent Grisham, and Trent Grisham, his career high of home runs is 16. So I mean, he's your everyday center fielder. I mean, he's never really proven to be an all-star caliber player, right? He's just a very solid, like, platoon center fielder. That's who he is, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he was hitting like lead off for a while, so like he was getting serious lead off at bats. Um, Grisham is one thing, but then you got Goldschmidt, who's probably our second best hitter, but he's like 37, and his power is trending down. He's not the power force that he was in St. Louis. Cody Bellinger, if you look, his numbers are currently worse than they were last year, um, for the Cubs, and the Cubs released him for nothing to us. Now, I think he's been good overall, but he's clearly not the hitter that the Yankees thought they were acquiring, and B, the hitter that was so successful in LA. There are holes in this lineup. There's significant holes in this lineup. So anyone who says that we didn't need Stanton are out of their absolute minds. Um, so yeah, I'm not surprised that it's trending down. I think that they are. I think they're a mediocre offense. That's slightly better than mediocre offense if you put it all together. But the biggest problem with them is just situationally. They're so situationally like unaware or incompetent or whatever word choice or adjective you want to use, then I'm perfectly okay with it, because there had multiple situations against the Angels in the first game, and the Angels were, I mean, they were not good. I mean, we went into the 11th inning with no runs. Yankees had multiple opportunities with runner at second base and no outs in extra innings. Couldn't even bring him home. I think statistically, the Yankees have a 0.77 batting average in extra innings. It's something startling like that, which says to us that this is a very poor team in terms of situationally, big spots. They just are not good. They're not smart. They're not competent. And the problem is, Aaron Boone thinks it's all great. And when that happens, then nothing changes. And he's perfectly okay with all this slop that's being served over this last week. Um, and it's important to have a distinction between being a very cool, chilled manager that's like, um, that has the bigger picture and doesn't get too high or too low. That's obviously something that Aaron Boone is very good at. Um, but there also has to be an element of like toughness, respect, and accountability. And these are all things that he falls short in. And these are all the reasons why you're having 29 innings without scoring a run. Like, freaking, what was it? It's like 55 innings and we've only scored like like one or two runs. It's really crazy. And when your manager is just far too cool and too chilled with it all and just thinks everything's great and then these guys are just all going to magically hit again, then this will continue and this will continue. This is the Aaron Boone thing. Um, there's not enough accountability in this team.
It's just ugly. I mean, you go back to the last game against Kansas City, and like we mentioned before, the only run they scored was from a falling Pablo Reyes. So from that game forward, the most they've had in a game is 3. And I think they've scored a total of like, what, 6 runs since that final game against the Royals. That's a lot of games to be only scoring 6 runs. And obviously you get shut out in 3 straight. That 11th inning, runner at second, not the 11th, the ninth inning, Stanton double, Dominguez pinch runs, Volpe hits it right to the third baseman, and Dominguez is stealing and he gets tagged out. It's like, is that unlucky? Like, what else does this team need to do to get a run to score? And you think about Bellinger, you thought it was gone, it didn't go out of the park, like the ball just died. It's like, how unlucky can this team get? But then you're thinking about, they don't deserve the luck right now because they're performing so bad. And I don't think they're a terrible team by any means. I do think this is I don't want to say a bump in the road because they do this every single year, but it also has never been this bad. This is probably the first time since 2016 they've been shut out in 3 straight. So it's been a long time, almost a decade since that's happened. And I can't put my finger on it. And FJ, you bring up a good point. When Judge doesn't hit, the rest of the lineup falls apart.
That's it.
And it's rough to watch. And I don't know. I'm almost at a loss for words. It's like watching this team just gives me agita. But I'm going to keep watching them because it's what we do as a fan. We have to watch the games. But like Anne Marie saying, a good morning to Anna Marie, good morning to Dev, good morning, Dad. We had some more people pop in. Nikki popping in, asking questions about the ads. That's how YouTube works. Here come the landscapers, of course, right on cue. Yeah, it's ugly. It's really ugly.
I mean, when you think about it, the Yankees have now gone 59 innings and they've scored 4 total runs in 59 innings. In the last 59 innings, the Yankees have scored a run in just 3 of them. I mean, that's disgraceful. It's completely disgraceful. Um, even the worst teams can find a way to scratch a run or two across the board. Even the worst teams. Like the Rockies scored like 10 runs like yesterday or whatever. Like the Rockies. So you're telling me that over 59 innings you couldn't get one to leave the yard, one to miss a glove with a runner in scoring position? I mean, you got to be kidding me. So I mean, I know that there's swoons, and I know that it's a long season, and I know there will be times where you're up and down, but you shouldn't be this down. This is absurd. This is absurd. And so don't let Aaron Boone convince you otherwise after the game going, oh, I love our guys. Our guys are so great. We're just so fantastic. This is who we are. This is our process. Blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to it, because here's the reality. This is never this run of 0 runs over what 5 games, or wasn't it 5 games that run now? 5 games. It hasn't happened since 2016, and it's happened about 7 times in our history since 1903. So this idea that this is normal is not normal. This isn't normal. There's nothing about this that's normal. You're gonna go through cold streaks where you're gonna lose some games, but to completely just be completely shut down and not score a single run since Saturday. We haven't held a lead in any game since Pablo Reyes fell over and accidentally scored. We actually haven't scored a run where we've actually done it with purpose, because the only run we've scored in a week was Pablo Reyes accidentally scoring when it looked like he was actually trying not to score. Because he was got in a rundown. So apart from us by accident scoring, we've done absolutely nothing. That is not normal. There's nothing about it that's normal, and Aaron Boone seems perfectly okay with it, and that's why I hold him mostly responsible for this. Because although I don't think our roster is nearly as good as some people think it is, I think it's quite overrated. I've said this since day one, that it's not really Monday morning quarterbacking. I've been pretty clear about it. I think our lineup is very overrated, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as to go like 59 innings without a run, or scoring in 4 runs. So it does speak to an attitude issue and a leadership issue. There just isn't enough leaders in this locker room. There just isn't enough leadership coming from up top. We've already heard from Brian Cashman. Aaron Boone will never, ever have any job security issues. He will always have job security as long as he listens to Brian Cashman. So, because it's not about wins and losses. Brian Cashman said that. It's not about wins or losses. As long as you follow the process, then you got a job for life. That's a really weird attitude to send out to a team that has the expectations that the Yankees apparently have. So it comes from up top, and then it filters down to Aaron Boone. He's totally chill. Oh, you didn't love Anthony Volpe getting thrown out of third? What's wrong with you? You know? Oh, what errors? You know? What base running blunders? Don't know what you're talking about. That kind of attitude comes back to bite you in the ass, because it will continue and it will continue and it will build and it will snowball and it will snowball to the point where you're having these outings and you're getting beaten 18-2 of the Dodgers. You embarrass yourself in the World Series where the Dodgers will laugh at you and say you didn't even deserve to be in a World Series because you're so incompetent. And that's the kind of stuff that they were saying, and they have every right to say it. And then you lose 5-6 out of 6 to a really bad Red Sox team. This is the kind of stuff that happens when you're very, very okay with mediocre.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only so much that Boone can do to try to motivate a team. It's not like he's going out there and taking 27 at-bats a game. But, yeah, I mean, this is what happens every single year. It's around this time of the year the team just forgets how to play baseball, or they forget how to hit. And I just don't know what it is about it that he's so fine with this. Like, what are you okay with? Not scoring in 3 straight games should not be acceptable in any way. Like, show some fire, show some guts. You don't have to start cursing up a storm and be like, these guys are assholes and blah. Like, no one's asking you to go be freaking Tony Soprano on them, but just be like, this is not what we are about. This is not New York Yankee baseball, and we're going to just give us the basic answer. We're going to do everything we can to get this right because we know we're better than this. That's a generic answer, but it's better than, as long as we follow our process, we'll be okay. But what's your process? Because how does your process take you from one of the best offenses we've gotten to watch for 2 months to just a team that can't score against Kyle Hendricks. He had the second worst ERA in baseball, and we couldn't score a run against him. And I feel so bad for the pitchers. Again, Clark Schmidt was great. Will Warren struck out 11 last night in 6 innings. 6 innings, 3 runs. That should be enough to get you a win, 11 strikeouts. And Boone's not getting fired, so everyone's saying that it's not going to happen. He's not getting fired, guys. They're not going to get rid of him. I don't know what John's trying to say. The word is leak. Okay? Attitude reflects leadership. Sure does. Let's see what we got. Lou, what's up to you? How you doing? That rhymed. Nikki, I would love to see the Yankees get Luis Castillo, give the rotation a boost. Probably too much of an asking price. Don't really need it right now. Brett Beatty, I don't know. He's off to a decent start with the Mets, but is that going to be enough to get the Yankees to score a run against the Angels?
I like the suggestion. I love Luis Castillo, but we also have to bear in mind that we're having to restock our farm system. We don't have that many guys that are sitting in AAA that are just bursting at the seams ready to be major leaguers right now. We just don't. We got rid of a lot of our pitching depth to make the trades that we've made. Thus, we have to be very, very selective as to what to target. Yes, some starting rotation help will help. Would definitely be a boost. So Luis Castillo is one of the best in the game. So I'm not going to argue with that. Bullpen, though. I mean, we need at least 2 arms. And probably both of them need to be swing and miss, like high-velocity fastball guys. Because we just don't have enough of that in the bullpen. We've just basically built a bullpen of sinker ball guys. And it's like I don't think there's enough variety in our bullpen, in other words. So that needs to be targeted. And then you also need a third baseman that can hit with an 800 OPS and drive in 25, 30 home runs. You need that because our infield is incredibly weak. There is not one infielder that you look at that you're confident is going to hit 30 home runs. None. No one. I mean, Volpe ain't going to do shit in that department. Third base, what is it? I mean, maybe Jazz Chisholm, but he's very inconsistent.
He also
and then,
shouldn't be at third.
and then you got DJ LeMahieu, who, he's on the way down. He's closer to retiring than he is being an everyday second baseman. Plus, his range is awful, and like Goldschmidt is your best hitter, but again, I think he's more of a contact hitter at this stage of his career than being a big power guy. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's our infield. I think our infield is considerably weak, so that needs to be something that you target. That's a lot, and we just don't have a lot in the minors that's going to help you attack all those areas. So you have to kind of be selective. For me, you prioritize the bullpen arm and a third baseman.
Yeah, just like Anna's saying, like, who exactly can it be? Like, we got to wait another month, basically, to see who's out of the race. Are the Angels out of it and Rengifo becomes available? He's not the big power bat, but we can certainly use at least a league.
Suarez.
I love Suarez. That's my top choice. If he's there, go get him. The Yankees should not be worrying about a budget. Take on whatever he's owed and just get him because they need it. And I'm watching this team defensively as well. DJ, like you said, he let a ball get right by him on an attempt that scored a run. Absolutely not, Nicky. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, I can't.
Chad's really good at third base, by the way.
He's not. We've been saying this. Remember, like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about it, and we're thinking, why would they even consider that? And we've been right this whole time because you're messing with something that didn't need to be messed with. And lo and behold, the defense has been shot, and the offense is now following suit because that's how baseball is. One thing starts to fizzle out, and the other starts to follow. Luckily, the pitching's been okay, but how long is that going to be? How's that going to last? because eventually there's going to be a hiccup, whether it comes from Rodon or Warren or Yarborough, Schmidt. I don't think Friedel he might even have a hiccup or two. He's not immune to it. He had a hiccup against the Dodgers, but he's been great otherwise. Eventually, the pitching's going to have a rough day. And if your offense can't even scrape a run across against the worst pitchers in baseball, we're not going to win a lot of games. So that's why I'm really concerned. Like, had we been losing these games, like even if we were losing like 6-5 or 6-4 or 5-4, you're like, okay, they're still finding ways to put runs across. Eventually, the pitching will get it figured out, and they'll win some more games. But they're losing 2-0, 1-0, 4-3, 1-0, 1-0. Like, they're losing a lot of these games where they're not scoring runs, and that's very concerning. So,
yeah, I believe we've got a below 500 record in one-run games.
And we were one of the better teams in one-run games. That's how quickly it's changed. When we beat Kansas City, the Yankees were one of the best teams in those one-run games, and now we've lost several to Boston and the two to the Angels. So last night was 4-0, but it's just how quickly that's changed because they just can't score one run. Had they scored one extra run the other night, they beat the Angels. Had they scored like 2 extra runs, they beat Boston at least once. And it's not as bad. You know, they're not losing 5 straight, and the offense isn't in this historic run of just not being able to put runs across the board. So,
oh yes, absolutely, Nicky. I mean, Eugenio Suarez is the ideal pickup. But I mean, we've all said this, and we're not rewriting history. We've said this since day one. We shouldn't have had to wait till July to have acquired this third baseman. It's just unthinkable to not have addressed it to this point. But yeah, we need to talk a little bit about Aaron Boone because I think a lot of this stems from him. So we've already touched on this. Although it doesn't affect the offense, it does affect the team because the whole team raison d'etre this offseason was we are going to lose on offense without Juan Soto, right? Thus, they decided to go in another direction. They focused on pitching and they focused on run prevention, right? In order to make up for the loss of Juan Soto, which is still significant, right? Thus, they went the run prevention route. One of the key aspects of that run prevention route was to have Jazz Chisholm play his natural position at second base. And by completely changing your mind just because DJ LeMahieu has come back makes no sense. And we've already seen it on countless occasions since they've come back, that both of them are in the wrong spot. Jazz has been having some wild throws at third. And DJ LeMahieu's range at second is really bad. It's embarrassing at this stage, actually. So we've gotten away with it because we were playing like the Royals. And the Royals are not that good. But when you face a team that can exploit your weaknesses, like an Alex Cora-led Boston, and then you got a good manager in Ron Washington, and you got Mike Trout playing, they are a little bit better than the Royals in terms of maybe exploiting some of these weaknesses. And that's what's happened because it's been a problem. I'm telling you, this thing between DJ and Jazz ain't working. You got to swap it around. It's so stupid because it is costing us runs, which we can't afford because we don't have the offense right now. The offense is Aaron Judge. Unless Aaron Judge is freaking nuclear, this is a very mediocre lineup. But Aaron Boone is gaslighting us that this is some freaking unbelievable team. We are this, blah, blah. Yeah, you're fucking full of it, bro. I've seen much better Yankee lineups. Me and Rob have seen much better Yankee lineups growing up in the 2000s. This is one of the weaker lineups when you look at the whole list of lineups that we've had since frickin' the good old days. This is a considerably weaker lineup. And I know the stats are okay, but it was bound to regress because that's what happens. Baseball is the greatest equalizer in any sport. You might be on top of the world, but if you're vastly outperforming what you really are, eventually you will start regressing back to the mean. And that's what's happening here. Doesn't mean that they're a bad team. It just means that they are a good team, but overrated.
Maybe they overachieved, right? Like the first 2 months, because like everyone was hitting, and now you're starting to see like Goldschmidt's been ice cold. Rice has been. I think Rice has been very unlucky because he's still hitting the ball very hard, and he's just hitting. He's just finding gloves. But Dominguez got hot. He's cooled off. Volpe got hot. He cooled off. Bellinger. Judge has cooled off, and when Judge cools off, good luck because now nobody can hit. Austin Wells got hot.
Cooled them off too.
Yeah, and you can look back at that. We didn't think it was that big of a deal because we wanted him to play all 3 games against Boston. But hindsight, it's always 2020. You sat him in the middle of one of his hottest streaks, and the offense since that game has been non-existent. So you can directly kind of pinpoint the time when it started to fall apart for the Bats. It was that night in Kansas City, even though they won that game. So I think eventually they're going to start putting runs across. It could even be tonight. They could have a 10-run night. That's how weird they are. I've been saying this all season. I don't know what the identity is because I don't think they're this bad, but I never thought they were that good that they were able to score 15 runs a night. Like exactly. I was like, that's not sustainable. And we kept saying this, like, guys, everyone was saying extend Grisham or we don't need Stanton or extend this guy now or trade Dominguez while he still has some value because we have Trent Grisham. And we kept trying to tell people, guys, it's going to level out eventually. That's how baseball is. These guys that are on these incredible starts are going to struggle eventually. That's Ben Rice. That was even Goldschmidt. That was Trent Grisham. That's Aaron Judge. There was no way Aaron Judge was keeping up at a 400 pace, as good as he is. Eventually, it was going to happen. And it just so happens that with this team, it all happens at the same time. A 9-man lineup just all forgets how to hit because one player is not hitting 400 with a 500 on base anymore. And a 1,000 slug. Like what Aaron Judge was doing was not sustainable because it was Aaron Judge, you're like, maybe he's the only one that breaks that mold. But this is how baseball is, and it happens every year. It happens with this team every year. I don't know why any of us are surprised, but maybe it's because they've been scoring or not scoring at all. Maybe it's because it's been so bad. Even when we were losing last year, they were still scoring runs. Like you still had Soto getting you a few. Judge and Soto were still able to accommodate for a couple of runs a game. But now, if Aaron Judge ain't doing it, nobody is, and that's the problem. So I think eventually it could be tonight, it could be tomorrow, it could be 2-3 weeks from now. This lineup's going to start putting runs across again, and we're going to be like, at least I got over that rough week. But you look at we heard it in the chat a little bit ago. We were up by 9 games, 7 games, and now it's a game and a half because the Rays got hot, the Blue Jays got hot. We let Boston back in the race, and now the lead is a game and a half. So I still think they're making the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're not going to make the postseason, but the division that looked like it could have been a lock before the All-Star break, the Yankees have once again let their opposition right back in it because they can't score 2 runs against the Los Angeles freaking Angels to win a game. They couldn't have scraped an extra run across the board. Bunt. I don't like bunting, but when you can't score, you have the leadoff man at second in the 9th and you pinch run, bunt. You just need 2 pop flies to win that game with Dominguez running the bases. And you beat the Angels 1-0. It's not much, but it gets the job done. I usually don't advocate for it, but when you can't fucking score, drop a bunt, get the runner over, and just win the game by any means necessary. But no, you have to have Jazz swinging for the fences, and then you got to go for the hit and run, and Volpe hits it right to third base, and we can't even score. No, actually, it wasn't the first pitch. It was he.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the bases loaded situation in the.
Yeah, well, that was bad. But the Volpe at bat, he swung at a pitch that Dominguez would have had a steal on, and then when Dominguez got a bit of a late jump, that's when he swung and lined to third, and the inning was basically over from there. Volpe got to first, but it didn't matter because you took away a base runner, and it's been ugly. And I try to be, what's up, Luca? I try to be optimistic sometimes, but I'm watching this and I'm like, Tats was asking us like, hey, what do you want to do for the title? And I said, we can't put what I want to put because we get like canceled by YouTube. So, or it'd be some sort of like violence copyright against us. So yeah, it's just been so ugly, so bad. And I hope it ends soon because nobody wants to watch this brand of baseball. It's ugly. And the manager kind of encouraging it like it's no big deal. That makes it even worse.
That's what I have an issue with, man. Slumps happen, losses happen, but encouraging this slump is what concerns me moving forward. Because there's every chance that we score 2 or 3 runs in tonight's game, and it's all forgotten about. But the bigger picture is he's perfectly okay with this slump, and that means that it's going to continue, and it's going to continue, and it's going to continue. I keep saying this, but his biggest failure as a manager is not necessarily his in-game management, which is kind of average. It's not great. It's not disgraceful. It's just kind of average. His biggest failing is the fear/respect aspect. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that next step as a manager. And the problem is, if there's no fear of recourse, and there's no message being sent to you for really dumb, horrible mistakes that should never ever happen on a little league field, let alone a baseball field, let alone Yankee Stadium, if there's no recourse for that, then it will come back and it will bite you in the ass at the worst possible time. And that is what's been the story of Aaron Boone's tenure since 2018. It's every single year, annually, they get complacent. As Luca points out, word of the day, complacent, but they do every summer, and there's no question about it because it's been going on since the COVID year. They start pretty hot, and then after that, they get very complacent, and then it just snowballs because Aaron Boone keeps putting it off, going, we're a great team. It's going to be around the corner. It's going to be around the corner. It's going to be around the corner. And eventually you're in October, and there's no more corners left. And that's been the story for the last 7 years. If you don't address the fundamentals, if you don't address sloppy play, if you don't address laziness, and we saw a ton of laziness in that Red Sox series, which Aaron Boone was perfectly okay with. Mm-hmm. Grisham was quite lazy throwing the ball to second base. Oh, but that's just his style. Anthony Volpe didn't even know what planet he was on when he grabbed the ball and he wasn't even on the bag. That's lazy. That's Dominguez not knowing what the situation was.
He's literally out of this planet because he's a Martian.
Literally out of this planet because he's the Martian. He was not aware of what's going on. Again, lazy. There is laziness that is filtering into this team. And Aaron Boone's just like, I love it.
Process.
It's our process. This is our process. And as you point out, what does that mean? He was saying that yesterday. He kept saying it. We just go back to our process. We've been doing our process. Well, does that mean that you didn't have a process going into this series? So what is it that they're doing now, right? Well, they're not doing now that they're going to do tomorrow. Because he keeps mentioning, we're just going to do our process. Go back to what does this process mean? What does this process mean? Do you know what that says to me? In fact, that's a red flag to me. That's like a neon sign. Because it just reminds me of when in years that we've been knocked out of the playoffs, Brian Cashman goes, well, it's all about the process. It's about our process. Is that just like a disguised word for basically doing nothing different?
We don't know what the fuck we're doing, so we're just going to call it a process.
Yeah.
Luca, yeah, you're right. With Jazz, that we talked about that a little bit ago. Jazz should not be at third base. And there's proof every single day that he should not be at third base. He should be at second Because how good was the defense? We didn't complain about the defense at all. Jazz was smooth jazz at second. Volpe, he and Volpe were a phenomenal duo up the middle. It was great. It was like watching, I don't want to say the same thing because it's not even close, but it was like watching kind of a little bit of a lesser version of when Cano and Jeter were doing it, right? Like they were smooth like that together. Or maybe even Starlin Castro and Didi, more like that. It was like those two. It was just a clean defense. Goldschmidt picking the hell out of everything. Whoever the third baseman was, it was Cabrera, Peraza, not Reyes, but those two. Fine at third. They were doing their job. And then Boone's like, I have an idea. Let's fuck it up because I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I don't like good defense. Why do they go against it? And just that needs to change. And we're not acting like the defense is giving up the runs, Lou. We're just saying that there was a switch that did not need to be made because Jazz was great. Peraza is great at third. DJ's better at third than he is at second. Cabrera, before he got hurt, I miss him a lot right now. I hope he's doing okay, but like the defense was fine. So you have a bad defense on top of a bad offense, and you have a manager that's kind of like, no big deal. The process. That becomes a big problem. So now you have to have this players only meeting. Apparently, I think it might have been FJ that said that Judge held a players only meeting last night. Why does that have to be happening in the middle of June? Every single year this has to keep happening. Whether it's Judge and Stanton or just Judge himself. Hasn't this happened now 3 of the last 4 years where the team has been playing so bad right around this time that Aaron Judge has to hold a players-only meeting? What exactly is Aaron Boone doing after the game? So, like, why is he not the one saying, guys?
And why is it on the players to have to run players-only meetings? Because I've never heard of an Aaron Boone-led meeting. Have we ever heard of an Aaron Boone-led meeting? In any rumors or any reports, Aaron Boone held these guys respond. No. I've heard Brian Cashman turn up on and travel and then address them because the manager can't speak to his locker room. So Brian Cashman has to do it. And it looks like Aaron Judge has to do it. Stanton usually has to do it. For me, that says to me there's a lack of leadership at the very, very top. If your manager doesn't communicate a tough message, because he has to be the cool dad, that it needs to be a players-only meeting, then that's a problem for me. Aaron Boone should have the balls to call these people out. But he doesn't because he's the cool dad. And he's a one-trick pony. That's his thing. What did Jazz Chisholm say in the interview? And now I think about it, is actually kind of fucked up. I text him. We're like best pals. That kind of shit is like nice, but he's your manager. There has to be a level of respect, a fear/respect. You know, Derek Jeter adored Joe Torre, loved him. He was kind of like a grandfather. But if you get on his wrong side, you'll be your angry granddad. You don't want that. And that's what Joe Torre had. He had that side where he's like, I'm going to support you. I'm going to do everything possible to be supportive to you. But if you do anything to piss me off on that field, you will hear about it. And you need that. Everybody needs that. In every walk of life, you need that. It doesn't matter who. Because otherwise, you're just going to be free to fuck the whole thing up. And the inmates are going to run the asylum. And Aaron Boone he's a one-trick pony, man. It's all just about being friendly and being cool and being best pals with everybody. And that's really nice for about 50% of your job. The other 50% of the job, you need to be a bit tougher. And he just can't do it. And he's not been able to do it for 7 straight years, which is obscene. How does he keep getting multiple extensions when we have the same conversations since we've been starting a podcast in different aliases since like 2021? I can't even remember how long we've been doing it for, but the same conversations every year. You need to be tougher. You need to hold these guys accountable. You need to not be okay with all these fundamental issues. And he is perfectly okay with all of it. And then it comes back to bite you in the ass. And that's all it's done. All this has done is it's come up a little earlier than expected. But it was always going to happen this year. If it was going to happen in October, it was going to happen post All-Star break. Well, it's happening in June now. So
Yeah, and the fact that we've had to have this conversation every single season since 2021, when we first started doing this for a whole year, it tells you something that we're all able to see it, but the Yankees don't seem to care because I don't want to say it's all they only care about the revenue because if you win and you go far, you make more money. So shouldn't the ultimate goal be to win because you can make more money? You can do both. Like, hey, we're winning. The fans aren't angry at us, and they're paying to come here. It's a win-win for the ownership. So I don't think Hal, a lot of people would be like, oh, Hal's just fine with losing as long as he makes money. I don't think he is because last year we saw how much more money the Yankees made just by going to the World Series. Like they had a few games in the Bronx for the Fall Classic, 3 games, and they sold out, of course, and they were making money hand over fist. It's like, hey, if we win, we're going to make money. So I don't think it's about a revenue thing. It's just Aaron Boone doesn't seem to have that. And again, I don't need him to be screaming at people. We're not going to resurrect Billy Martin's ghost and have him take over Aaron Boone's body. They're not bringing Joe Torre back, although he's going to be on Boone's staff for the All-Star game.
it's ironic.
It's hilarious to me. Joe Girardi's not coming back, nor do I want him to, but they need... I think it was brought up the other day in our chat. He needs to have more of that, like, good...
I think Rob froze. Can you guys hear me okay? I think Rob froze. I actually was wondering what was going on. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, that's good. Right. Sorry about that, guys. That was weird. I completely agree. And you know what? I noticed that, Luca. You could just hear it, man. You can just hear that the atmosphere is pretty depressing. It's really quiet. You just listened to that game yesterday, and it's just dead. Sexy Donald to the rescue. You know it. You know it, Anna.
Apologies for that. I don't know what the hell just happened. My computer just completely
Rob off
out.
your podcast. Rob went into the Terminator, and I was just sitting there like, is this me? Is this wrong? I don't know. I'm just going to sit here just politely.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened there. My thing went black, and I was like, oh, crap, they got me. It's like Boone heard everything I was saying.
So, yeah, So obviously Lou brings up a point here that we were overly focusing on defense. To circle back to that very briefly, I made it very, very clear. If you spend your entire offseason with the raison d'etre that you're going to lose a little bit on offense in order to boost up your run prevention, but you then change that all up just for DJ LeMahieu, then it's a weird look and it doesn't help you. Having said that, the new Yankee approach is, well, hey, one way to avoid not blowing any leads is to not score any runs at all. So that's the new approach now. It's been going on for a week. And that's what's going on. The Yankees aren't scoring any runs, and it's an abysmal approach. So, Lou, if you want us to get into that offense, I'm more than happy to do it. I don't think this offense is particularly that good. I do think it's overrated. But it's a young. There's a lot of young guys in that offense. They all need a little bit of time to some extent. I don't know how much more time Volpe needs, but Austin Wells, he's not been too bad. I think he's been okay offensively. He can still get better. Ben Rice has been running into a little bit of bad luck. But he's been red hot for a while. Pretty happy with him. Jazz Chisholm is who he is. Uh, I'm not expecting anything more than what he is. He's a low batting average, kind of like high slug kind of guy. And I think he's ideal for maybe like the seventh hole in the lineup, sixth hole in the lineup. But I wouldn't really have him much higher than that. He is kind of useful, though. He's definitely useful to have in your team. But you need to have better players around him. And that's where we fallen short. There's just too many issues with this team. And it starts with not enough power coming from the right side. Apart from Aaron Judge and Big G. But Big G, you know that Aaron Boone's going to can't wait to pinch run him in late game situations where he gets a double, and then you lose his bat for the next time. So that's going to be a concern as well. So I don't know. It's going to be tough. I just don't. I don't know. I think this offense is overrated. Rob, do you agree or do you disagree?
I just think I guess that's a good word to put it, because for so long we were scoring 10 runs a game, 7 runs, 8 runs, and we're like, this offense can't be stopped. Everyone's hitting above league average and OPS. Even like our worst hitter was like, I think it was LeMahieu, and he was at like 7 something. So you're like, this is not a bad lineup by any means. They have 9 guys that are getting the job done. But then when you see them all slumping at the same time, and it's like, geez, if Judge really isn't hitting, they don't really have anything else. Like, Bellinger's not going to be able to carry a lineup. Neither is Goldschmidt, nor should he. Goldschmidt's 37 years old. If this was Goldschmidt from 5 years ago, you'd be like, yeah, you got to do your part. Bellinger from 5 years ago, all right, do your part. Volpe's not going to carry a lineup. Wells, Dominguez, these guys aren't supposed to be able to carry a lineup. So, but they should be better than this. Like, it shouldn't be that when Aaron Judge doesn't hit, that the rest of them just be like, well, we're not going to hit either. Like, you should still be able to scrape a few across the board, even with guys like Wells and Jazz and Bellinger, the guys that have power. Dominguez has power. Stanton, he just came back, and he's been the best hitter over the last 2 nights. Like, so you should be able to at least hit the occasional home run. You know? Enough with the
I think they're override on the home run, bro.
They do. Even Aaron Boone himself said that. Like, oh, we got to get back to hitting the long ball. He said, he also brought up, I wanted to say this real quick. He brought back his greatest hits. He said turn the page yesterday.
Yep.
So it's back, guys. It's back. That includes the host. What, John? You ain't getting me to shave my goddamn beard. I don't care who the hell you are. It ain't happening. Anyway, no, they're not gonna reverse the beard rule. You guys are getting a little too crazy with that stuff. It's just bad baseball right now. And the lineup itself is just bad right now. And I don't think it's that bad. I think it will be better. It can't be this bad. A lineup that has been breaking records that we haven't seen in Yankee history before can't be bad, right? They were one of the top offenses in baseball for the first 2.5 months. They don't just become bad overnight. So I do think that eventually they're going to start hitting again, but there has to be a reason why for 3 straight games, 29 innings, like the title says, they can't score a run. Why over the course of 2 series now, they've struggled to put more than 3 runs across the board. Why over the last 6 games, one of our only runs was a Judge homer, Pablo Reyes slipping, and a rally that fell short against Boston. That's it. That's our offense. Kyle Hendricks shut us down last night, guys. It's bad. So, do I think it's overrated a bit? But I also think that it's not terrible because you have, again, there's too many veterans in there. There's too many professional hitters, supposed to be professional hitters, and the younger talent should be a lot better than that. Austin Wells should not be as streaky as he is. That left side swing in Yankee Stadium should be very good. Anthony Volpe should be more of a doubles hitter with a good spray chart, and he's just, when he slumps, it's like the ugliest at bat you've ever seen. Jazz Chisholm should be hitting 50 in Yankee Stadium with his power, and he's trying to do that too much. What happened to the level swing that we saw 2 weeks ago? We're like, it's a different version of Jazz. That's gone away. So I just think that Joseph, you're right. They're going back to trying to hit the home run to get out of the slump, and they're not just trying to get good at bats. The Yankees are one of the best teams in at bat quality. And if you look over the last 6 games, you're like, well, that's not true because they've had some of the worst quality at bats you've ever seen. So it's just like, are they all hitting that mental lapse at the same time? It's like, gee, I got to be the one to get us out of the slump, so let me hit one over the wall. And that's how you run into these kind of droughts. And what happened last year, it happened the year before that, the year before that. And it's just whenever they get into a slump, they try to hit the homer. So
I think they're overly relying on it. I do.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the team stats. So obviously Aaron Judge is still nuclear. 1,200 OPS is incredible. Got Goldschmidt batting with an 800 OPS. Still got Trent Grisham holding on to 800 OPS as well. And then the next best is Ben Rice, 769. Those are the only above average bats in terms of OPS. Cody Bellinger, 747 OPS is actually lower than last year. And currently, over his last 15 games, he's got a 368 slug, which is not very good. So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, last year he had a 750 OPS. It's a little bit down. His on-base percentage was higher last year as well, 325. He's done 318. Obviously, at 266 batting average, down to 247. So, obviously, I know it's only June, but it is an interesting indicator. Slug is almost something that's really interesting here. Aaron Judge is the only one with a good slug. He's got a 740 slug. No one else has a slug over 460. It's all 460 or below the rest of the lineup. That's not particularly good. Austin Wells is batting 217. That's not acceptable. Dominguez 236. It's not very good. 238. Anthony Volpe, pretty miserable. It's kind of miserable batting averages. So I think that's kind of the problem. I think that it speaks to how the game is starting to regress back to the mean, and this offense is starting to regress back to the mean because you're now starting to see what they really are, what these players really are, rather than just what they looked like when they were hitting 25 runs every single night. And it was fun for a while, but I think this is closer to who they are than not. You're right about Austin Wells. I think he's kind of skated by because he tends to be okay in big spots and he's been great defensively, but yeah, he's been in a real slump. Just a 200 on base percentage and 170 batting average over his last 23 at bats.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, like because you were asking, like, why is he seem to get a pass and Volpe gets treated like a prisoner? I don't know. It's like Wells doesn't really get any sort of criticism because of his defense behind the plate. But if that was Volpe in his spots that Wells is failing and Volpe's getting like crucified, but it shouldn't be a one-person blame game. I know. We kind of need you to so we can start hitting again. But it's not just a one-person thing because it's Wells, it's Volpe, it's Dominguez, it's Bellinger, it's Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt over the last month has been brutal. It's Grisham, it's Rice, it's Judge. Even Judge over the last 6 games, he's not really done much outside of the home run. And I'm giving him the pass because of how good he's been. And it's him or nothing right now. But Jazz cooled off. DJ was hot for a week, and now he's back to hitting ground balls, double plays, weak at bats, striking out, terrible defense, and you're like, that's why I didn't want to get too excited. So it's just like everyone's gone cold. Everyone, even Grisham, even Goldie, even Judge. And this is why you can't score runs, because now everyone's trying to be the one that breaks them out of the slump by hitting the big home run, the uplifting moment, when sometimes all you need is a lucky bounce, right? like in football, if you're struggling to score points and just get that one good lucky break where you break a tackle, and next thing you know, you're putting points up in bunches. Or in basketball, so you're bricking a few shots, you hit 1-3, next thing you know, you're starting to get things rolling, and you can come back from a 20-point deficit, as we've seen far too many times in this postseason, by the way. But sometimes that's how it happens. You just get that one lucky break, and things just start to fall in place. But you don't need to have the home run. A simple sac fly walk-off in the first game of this series could have been the thing that broke them out of this slump. But instead, they had putrid at bat after putrid at bat. They lose the game in extras, 1-0. They come out last night flat as ever, and it would not shock me tonight if they score 10 or if they score nothing again. That's kind of what it's been for them. You don't know what they are on any given day. But the way this lineup is swinging the bats right now, they're all trying to play hero ball instead of just playing baseball. We could be in for another rough night offensively against a bad pitcher. And that should not be happening, where these bad pitchers are like, all right, this is my get-right game. And you're right, Joseph. It just takes one breakout game to get you going. But history will tell us for the Yankees, they could have a breakout game, and then the next game, they put up nothing again.
Which is, I think, what this lineup is. Like, it's an all-or-nothing lineup. But, I mean, there's only so many bats that you can hide in a lineup. I mean, Anthony Volpe is their godsend. He's batting 150 over his last 26 at-bats. He's 0 for his last 11, 4 for his last 26, 12 for his last 51. 25 for his last 106. I mean, this is who he is. He's just not a good hitter. I think mediocre is kind. I think he's a below average player. And he's been hitting in the middle of the lineup for much of this stretch. He got moved down a little bit, which was nice, but it doesn't change anything because he's still garbage. So where are you going to hide him? And then you got Austin Wells batting 217. Where are you hiding him? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't recreate. You can't clone Judge, Goldschmidt, and Stanton. You just can't. And that's the problem. I'm glad that they tried to figure out a way to get more out of Dominguez by putting him in the leadoff spot. I think that was kind of a smart call, but I mean, he still needs a lot of time, but I'm sorry, I just don't know where else you're going to hide all these guys. There's a lot of very mediocre bats in this lineup. There just is. We've been through the statistics. So I'm not quite sure who is going to get infinitely better. So that's my question to you in the chat. And then, Rob, which one of these guys are you expecting to get infinitely better? Are you expecting Austin Wells because we haven't seen him be an all-star caliber catcher yet. He's still a while away, offensively, I mean. Volpe, we've never seen it. He's been pretty much bad for 3 years. Dominguez, this is his rookie year. So I'm giving him a complete pass. Jazz Chisholm, we know who he is. This is who he is. He's always been. He's like a high slug, but strike out 50% of the time kind of guy. The only one that you can say with certainty that's going to come out of this slump is Aaron Judge and probably Paul Goldschmidt. That's the only ones I can think of that you're guaranteed that you know is going to come out of this slump. Maybe Bellinger, but I'm pretty sure this is kind of closer to who Bellinger is rather than the LA Dodgers Bellinger. So apart from two hitters, who are you expecting to get infinitely better, bro?
I mean, I would like to think Bellinger can get hot because I feel like had that ball cleared the wall the other night, that could have been the start of a hot streak for him. You'd think Jazz eventually will start clearing the wall a few times, and Nicky's bringing up a good point. Stanton will eventually start hitting for power again.
He's been amazing. That's why I didn't mention Stanton. He's been fantastic since coming back. He's been
4 hits in 2 games. I think Ben Rice kind of has to me, he's been the one that's been unlucky during all this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think Ben Rice is a guy that needs, I said this a couple of weeks ago, I would start thinking about sitting Goldschmidt a little bit more in favor of Ben Rice. because Stanton, you can't take him out of the lineup right now. I know they'll find a way to give him a break when he's got 4 hits already, but I think you got to let Ben Rice swing the bat because he just continues to show that he's unlucky right now, but he's still scorching the ball. His Savant page is all red. He's up there in one of the unluckiest hitters in the sport right now. I think you got to get him at bats, and I actually really liked the lineup last night. I think you'd roll that same thing out there tonight, but maybe you think about starting Rice instead of Goldschmidt just to give Goldschmidt a day off his feet because I think he needs it. I've been saying this, Volpe needs to be at the bottom of the order. He's not a middle of the order bat. He never was. Never thought he was a leadoff bat either. Said this last year. And I think you have him and Wells at the bottom of the order, you keep him there. But I really did like Dominguez at the leadoff spot. Didn't help, but I think that's a way to get him more at bats. You eventually will get to Judge, and Judge will eventually break out of this. He will. And if once Judge breaks out of it, then eventually you'll start seeing guys like Bellinger and Stanton start to break out too. But I really think
broken out, bro. I'm not criticizing Stanton. I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah, 2 games. He's already been the best hitter on the freaking field, which is insane that people really thought they wanted to cut him.
2 games, he has more hits than Volpe has in his last 25 games.
No, let's cut Giancarlo Stanton. Let's just prorate his contract and cut him, you fucking idiot. But we need him. We've always needed him. I'm glad he's back, and that's why I do think eventually it will be sooner than later that we start to break out of this because Giancarlo Stanton is not a guy that's going to let this happen for too long. He's a no-nonsense guy too, and I am glad he's back. I'm looking forward to Lombard as well, but that's still point. At least a year away.
The Yankees need a new vision.
They do. They've needed one for a while, but they don't seem to want to make. They don't want to make that change. What I thought. Remember what I said after Soto signed that the biggest move the Yankees could make could be internally. That was my statement. The biggest change the Yankees could make in terms of roster construction would be an internal shift of just changing the philosophy entirely. And they were going that route with more run prevention, using speed, and just overloading on pitching. And they've gotten away from it. In a matter of a week, they've gotten away from it by switching positions with guys that don't need to switch positions. They're trying to get Volpe, who's not a power hitter, in the middle of the lineup. And, well, they've also had him playing third, Lou. He's been playing third, and he's been playing a very good third base.
So that's the problem, Lou. They ain't moving on from Volpe. As long as Brian Cashman is in charge and Aaron Boone is the manager, Anthony Volpe will be your shortstop for a long time. They're going to double and triple down on him like IKF, like their IKF experiment. That's their guy, and they're going to ride with it, and we're all going to suffer.
Yeah, I don't know about Nicky's suggestion. The price it would take to get Jose Ramirez would be something the Yankees can't pay right now. Although I would take that dude on this team in a heartbeat, there would not be a single player that I consider untouchable for Jose Ramirez.
Duran, I have arrived. I'm glad to see you've arrived, my guy. I would love Duran staying positive. I mean, I don't know. There's no reason to say that this team isn't gonna make the playoffs or anything like that. They're obviously gonna make the playoffs, but I don't know if you're looking for the problem is my expectations are World Series. It depends on your expectations. If you're perfectly happy with the Yankees just being a playoff team, then there's no reason why you should not be optimistic because they will probably make the playoffs. If you have expectations that are in line with what the organization have kind of built themselves as, to be a World Series caliber team, then you will be disappointed because they're just not a World Series caliber team. I stand by it, man. We're probably maybe the second best team in the American League right now behind the Tigers. But in the National League, I'm not even convinced we'd make the wild card in the National League. That just shows where the Yankees are. They're okay. They're just a solid team. So when Aaron Boone is just like, we're this great team, we're unbelievable, we're just dude, you're full of it. You are full of it, bro. Because the reality is, we've made 2 World Series in the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? We are not as good as you think we are. We've won 1 World Series since 2000. We are not as good as you think we are. You know, we're just not. 2009 was great. This last year was a disaster. 2003 was a disaster. That's it. It's 3 and 20 years. That's not nearly what you think in your head, that this Yankee team is just these big bad Yankees. They're kind of not. And there's a lot of teams that are as good, if not better than them. There's like a handful of teams in the National League that are considerably better than the Yankees are right now. And then you look at the American League, the Astros aren't far behind. In fact, could be
Yankees let these teams catch up.
Yeah, and by next week, the Astros will probably have a better record than the Yankees. I don't think the Blue Jays are that far behind the Yankees. Talent-wise, they're certainly not. And the problem is, the Yankees, the biggest issue with the Yankees is they haven't taken advantage of Aaron Judge. Is not just all-world, but like arguably like greatest right-handed hitter in American League history, kind of all-world. You've not taken advantage of that. You've dipped your toes in it by acquiring Soto and Max Fried and Garrett Cole and all that stuff, but you've never taken that next step to ensure that you have a World Series caliber team. Last year was your greatest opportunity, and they fluffed it away because they had to rely on Alex Verdugo playing left field, and the same issues at third base, and they just didn't address it. And now, I don't know. I just don't see a World Series team here. I see the same issues at manager, the same gaslighting, and a pretty good roster. I'm not going to say mediocre. They're a good roster, but just not a great roster. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into a whole argument about whether George would allow this or not, because sometimes that's not really the answer, just to start firing people on the spot. But I don't think I've seen it. Again, Lou, you're right. Last year, this should have been the all-out year. The players that would have helped us beat us. I mean, that's as simple as we can put it. The two of the players that we could have had, and we were very close to getting, apparently, went to the team that beat us. Welcome to the fucking sport of baseball. Like, that's just sometimes.
Welcome to the Yankees.
Welcome to sports. Welcome to sports. So, yeah. But just to wrap it up real quick, hopefully it ends tonight, this absolute drought that we've been on. Hopefully we don't have to watch another garbage game tonight. But we will be back on Friday to break down this series. Hopefully they can find a way to split it, and we're not talking about yet another series loss. That's all. I just, like Doran's saying, I'm trying to stay positive. It's just been tough watching these guys play baseball the last 6 games. It's been really, really, really tough. But Friday, we have the series awards. Hopefully we have Uncle Tats back. He's taking care of some family stuff today, so we love you, Tats. Hope to see you on Friday. And we'll see all of you fine people on Friday as well, so get your pen and papers ready, because we'll be doing the series awards for the Los Angeles Angels. Yeah, the pitching has been super, and hopefully that keeps up tonight. We got Yarborough going. Let's just get a win. So, Donald, before we wrap this up, any final thoughts about...
Yeah, I mean, on the positive, Clark Smith's been fantastic. Well, Warren leads all rookies in strikeouts, or rookie pitchers. So I've been pretty happy with the pitching, but offensively, it's a mess. But thank you so much to everyone that hopped in. Please do hit the like button and share it out, and sub up if you haven't already done so. And have a wonderful day.
That's right. So as Tats always says, share this out with your friends, your family, and that random stranger on the corner. This has been the Pinstripe Chronicles with Rob, Donald, and you fine people on a Wednesday. We will see you all again on Friday. Wear those pinstripes of pride. and play hard.